Hey guys, it's Ann, owner and creator here at Belle at Home in Old Town Spring, which is located in Spring, Texas. We're just a little north of Houston. When you hop on, tell us where you're watching from and tell us about your wonderful fall weather, because for us it's still, I think, in the high 80s, maybe low 90s, so it's still going to be a little bit warm here. I'm envious of all of you that can drink the pumpkin spice latte and not feel like you're sweating it out. So I do still like a good pumpkin spice latte, but I'd like it to be a little cooler. So today we're going to talk about painting your upholstery. So I have a couple of chairs from my breakfast room, and I picked these up on Facebook Marketplace. They were in a kid's room, so there's some marker on the seat that I couldn't get out with Incredible, which typically gets everything out. Didn't get out the marker and some of the stains on the seat. So I decided we're going to go ahead and paint these, which makes them easy to clean. We did paint one chair last year for a class, and once it was all done, I had it sitting on our showroom floor, and the FedEx guy dropped off my package, the dirty package, on my nice clean new chair, and of course took the box off. There's marks all over it, and I was like, great, chair's ruined, just freshly painted. But luckily, because we wax it, it wiped right off. So these are perfect for breakfast room chairs. Now, I probably wouldn't get into painting like a very cushy sofa, so anything that has a tight seat and tight back, usually what I would want to paint is going to have a leather-like feel when you're done. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to get a little closer on this. I'm going to flip this down. All right, so you see what we're working with. Pretty disgusting, pretty grody. All right, so I'm going to get down closer to. I'm going to use my little stool. All right, let me crouching down here. There we go. All right, so what we're going to use today, we are using sandbar. So I want a neutral color for my dining room or my breakfast room. We already have a piece that's painted in there. It's pretty close to sandbar. It's actually a little bit lighter. And we have some dark stain on the top of it. Let me get some paint. I like to put my paint in another container. Just for me, it's easier. All right, and what I'm going to use today, we have these Blue Ice Dynasty brushes. They are the short bristle. They're very stiff, and they're a shorter bristle. They're perfect for upholstery. We have a 1 inch and we have a 2 inch. 1 inch I'm sold out of. 2 inch I have a couple left. We are getting more in, so if you want the Blue Ice and I don't have it in stock yet, just message me and I'll make sure to save you one back. You can also use the Dixie Belle brush. We have 2 left, and they are sold out at corporate, so I don't know when we'll get these. This works just as fine. So if you have the Dixie Belle brush, it's a natural bristle brush. It's very stiff, okay? Either one will work. I'm kind of liking this one because I like how it works on the frame as well. For my purpose, I'm going to paint the entire thing. I'm going to paint the seat and the frame, everything one color, because I'm going to go back over it and change the frame by using glazes so you guys can see how that works. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You will need a spray mister, which we have the white ones in stock right now. So we're going to need to get this wet. Not soaking wet, just dampen it, okay? All right, so we got her nice and damp. I'm going to dampen my brush. It's going to be a pretty wet application. Let me see if you guys can see that. So I like the stiffness because you're going to be able to get into the fabric. Okay, so it's like the most awkward for me to sit. So, all right, I'm going to get it all on there. I'm going to try to do this so you guys can see it all. And I just get it on my chair. Now, we have tried this with chenille. That does not work so great. It is too hairy. so it was like a hot mess. It was just a little too stiff for my liking. It did end up working out for the customer in the end, but it would have been a better deal if it had been just like this is like a linen-y type, probably cottony fabric, probably even polyester fabric, to be honest. This is a cheap, inexpensive chair. Okay. So I'm going to brush it all kinds of directions. All right, so see how that is covering? So what I noticed because I'm painting a lighter color on a lighter fabric, it's going to be harder for me to tell that I've got it all completely covered. So as it starts to dry, or when it completely gets dry, I can go back over it and just add a second coat. When we've done this before, we had a blue gingham and kind of knew how that I covered it or not. Did you know, if that makes sense for you guys? Or if I was doing this, if I was doing like another color, let's say a blue or a darker color, I'm doing a pretty close color to the fabric base, and that's because I have a very neutral palette, because I like to accessorize with brighter colors. And let's face it, I've never fully 100% loved our kitchen breakfast area. So maybe if I changed the cabinets, that would make things change. But I kind of always have liked a neutral, because you can always add some fun stuff to everything else. Okay, again, we're just going to kind of work that in, go in both directions. So you're not going to see brush strokes in this. You're not worrying about which way you're going necessarily. You're just going to make sure you get it all worked in. And I like to come back, if you see me going back over and I'm kind of misting that with water, it's just getting all that wet again, and it's making sure that we don't have a super gloppy area of stiff paint. We don't want that. Okay? And then I do like to go back the direction of the long ways the seat is. Okay. And you will use quite a bit of paint, but I can tell you it's a lot cheaper than going and get it reupholstered. The fabric itself, like if I were to pick out fabric for this, I know I'm not cheap when it comes to fabric, and then the work to upholster it is going to get expensive. So this is just a nice, easy, quick fix. You know, Thanksgiving's coming up. Maybe your dining chairs need a facelift and you don't have time to go to the upholsterer or get new chairs. So you're just gonna give them a quick facelift. Just work that in there. Get a little bit more paint. And when I say you're gonna use a little bit more than normal, I mean, if I were painting a chest or painting the frames of these, let's see, get that all the way out. Okay, I'm gonna wet my brush again. If you guys have questions, throw them down in the box. I'll make sure and definitely answer them. When I get a chance to. So if I don't see them on the screen, I'll definitely answer them when I get done. And like I said, we are using Dixie Belle. Sandbar is the color that I'm going with on my chairs. I wanted it to be a little neutral. Okay. And I have these on wheels right now to kind of help us maneuver this. So those little green marks are gone that were over here. Those little marker stains. Okay, just kind of get it damp. You will go through a lot of water as well. So I would say easily you could probably get 2 or 3 chairs out of a 16-ounce can of paint. So it depends on how much of a change you're going for or how little of a change you're going for. Obviously going with a lighter color over a lighter fabric is not going to take as much paint. And this does take you 2 days to completely do. So once you've got the paint on and you've got this pretty damp, get that little paint booger there out. Once this is completely dry, then you're ready for the next step. So like I said, I came back and looked at, I've already got one partially complete, so don't worry, we're not gonna make you wait a day for this to see how this comes out. We'll finish this up. And I'm not really worried about getting it on my frame. Like I said, I'm gonna paint my frame the same color as well. So you can go ahead and start getting that paint on your frame as well. Now, if you are painting your seats only, you could either be very careful or tape it off with blue painter's tape. So easy process there. All right. I'm gonna get that seat done for you so you can see how that is gonna look. Okay. And I actually throw in a little bit of misting water or water into my bowl I'm working on. Okay, let's go back and forth this direction. Just trying to make sure you get all that paint into your fibers. Okay, if you don't really work it into your upholstery, what could happen is that you have paint just sitting on the top, and then it's going to get hard and it's going to crack on you. So you don't want that to happen. You're essentially, basically, you're dyeing your fabric. Get a little spot we missed right there. Okay. All right, I'm gonna start turning this guy around. Make sure you guys can still see it. All right. Now, I have not tried this with Paint Couture, but I have been told you can paint with the same process. So we will find something else to, of course, give that a try as well. So tell me, what upholstery pieces do you have at home that you'd like to see redone? Let's say if you want to paint them. Tell me what you've got that you'd like to experiment on. And leather works really well. Painting leather works excellent. Like I said, flatter fabrics like this, I did not like the way chenilles come out. And I'll throw chenilles in with velvets. I would pretty much caution you on that. Just first-hand experience, a little harder to, it's a lot of elbow grease making that work out. And you're getting a pretty soaked here. Not so bad that it wouldn't dry overnight, so don't get that crazy. And you always want to make sure you start out with a clean piece, so obviously clean it. Now, upholstery, you're not going to clean with soap and water or anything like that. You're just going to vacuum it off. Just get rid of the dog hair, cat hair, whatever. You don't want to have any like dust debris on it, so just vacuum it off is fine. Okay. And it's very convenient to have these very stiff brushes. If you had one of your regular brushes, like let's say this one, it's too soft, it's not going to do the job. This works on other things, but not for upholstery. You want to have the short, stiff bristles. Because you're really you are working that paint into that fiber. Very important. Okay. You can see how that kind of changes a little bit, and you can kind of mush that paint around. Okay, and we're gonna go this direction. We're gonna get in those corners. Again, like I said, we're painting the whole frame, so don't worry about getting it kind of on the frame. That's no big deal. Okay. All right, let's turn. Let me get some of that in the frame there. Let's see. We've got this wonderful, lovely green marker. We've got some yellow marker over here. So awesome. Okay, I'm getting it damp. Like I said, not drenched, but damp enough that an overnight drying will dry her out. Even in humid Texas. Okay, load up your brush. And just work that in. Again, we're using the Blue Ice 1-inch brush, short brush. We have the long bristles. Use the short ones. Like I said, we are getting more of those in. I have a couple of 2-inch left, and you can use the Dixie Belle brush. Okay. See. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit more here because I know I got a little thin on this side. And like I said, when you let this dry and you come back next day, if it's got some spots that didn't completely cover because you may have watered down too much or just not enough coverage on one side. And I won't say you watered down too much because I think really you can water down too much, but when it comes to this, I don't think it's going to be, that's the issue, just getting that extra coverage. So when I came back and looked at my piece the other day, I had to do a second coat. And I just do the same thing. I wet this, I wet my brush, all that good stuff. So we've got all of our welt cord trim. Oh, we got a little hair there. We'll cut that off later. Okay, we're just going to, this is watered down a bit, so it's going to be kind of like a wash on that. But we'll come back and really get that frame nice and done. If you have anything with like buttons or tufting, you want to make sure that you press down and you get all of those areas, because when somebody sits down, you're going to see those areas exposed. So if you have a tufted piece, you'll want to make sure and push on that seat. Make sure you get all around those corners like that. All right, we're going to get the back side real quick. Let's see how we are on time. Okay, I think we're pretty good. So you could even get creative if you wanted to. Once this is completely dry, you could come back and do some striping on it. You could do a stencil. You kind of get fun with it. Like I said, you could do a different color than your frame. I tend to like to do the same color because I'm going to put a glaze on my frame. See. We want to make sure that continues from the back to the front. There we go. And again, if you guys have any questions, just drop them down in the box. Again, it's literally just paint. So, and we're painting upholstery. And it really is easy. And like I said, I would not recommend painting a big fluffy, let's say your fluffy sofa. Probably not do that. Okay, I'm just gonna go around in here. We have some time, so I want to get this back done. So let me get this painted on. And I'm just kind of getting it willy-nilly because I'll go back later and paint the frame a little bit better. But I kind of like that. I'm really liking this brush, y'all. It's just right. And this is the 1-inch. So I am sold out of the 1-inch. Just Let me know if you want me to hold it for you when I get them in. All right, so I'm seeing, I need to add a little water here. Sometimes when it looks like you're not seeing the grain or the, not really the grain, I guess the texture of the fabric, you want to add a little bit more water. You should still see your texture of your fabric. Okay. Like I said, if you get too much paint on there, and it's not watered down enough, it could crackle on you, and you don't want that on your upholstery. It's not quite a good look. Okay. Making sure I get all those little areas. Okay. And when you're painting, I'll give you a quick tip on your chair legs. So you can, these have kind of the etchings in it, but sometimes you can just go with your chair legs and just go around it going like so, to kind of get real quick all the way around, especially if you have spindles. Just kind of go back and forth around your piece like that. Makes it easy. If they're really skinny, going like, you know, up and down isn't going to get it all painted well, especially down here at the leg part. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I like to go around like that. Just gets it all on there. Let's see. Got any more of that paint on there? All right. Okay. So, like this has got upholstered back as well. Raised it up a little bit. So I got a little bit more paint. So I'll use that up real quick. And this may be a little bit easier for you guys to see. So I like to work in little sections, so I'm going to work in this little area real quick. All right, and again, this color is called Sandbar. And I like the stiffer brushes, so the Dynasty short bristle brush, 1 inch or 2 inch, or the Belle brush will get that job done for you. Anything that's got a long, soft bristle like these, it's not going to do it for you. You'll be painting for hours, maybe even days. You don't want to do that. All right, so let's add a little bit more water to our upholstery. And I tend to use, because our water here is hard, and I don't know if any of the minerals would ever show up in my painting, but I do always use bottled water. I guess I'm bougie that way, but I just make sure that I don't have any weird hard water spots on this, and especially with this project we're doing, I would not want some weird spots to show up that are from the city water. It would just kind of be very annoying. Okay, go right there. Add a little more. All right. Okay. I'm gonna get this part done. Now I have seen some people do transfers on fabric, and I have seen some people not so successful on that. I haven't tried it yet. This would be a good candidate because it is tighter here, not as soft. If you're doing the transfers, I really think it needs to be on a harder surface that's not going to flex so much. And also, this is going to be on the back side, so you're not going to be sitting on it. Kids aren't going to be sitting on it, so that's just my opinion though, but I have seen some good looking ones, and I have seen some that didn't quite turn out, so that is something you want to practice on. Like I said, I don't want that much color in my space. Let's see. Paint there. Okay. I'm seeing I got a little bit of line there. Got a little bit thicker right there. So I'm just gonna work that out. There we go. Need a little bit more paint up there. Okay. Right. Normally I have my chair on a table, but then we would be 6 foot in the air, and that makes it really, really hard for you guys to see me and the project. My camera can only go so high. Okay. And this is kind of a cerused wood, so what that means is it just has, the grain has, basically it's kind of like you took a metal brush while the wood was soft and brushed it. So you have a lot of texture to this wood, which is called cerused, which will be cool when I put the glazing on it, because it should settle in all those little spots. All right. Just gonna finish the back of this, because I know I'm gonna need 2 coats here. Because this is very thin. This is thinned down with a lot of water, so. Just get that on. Okay. All right. So this is already starting to dry. So you guys can see that starting to dry here. So just let it completely dry. You can come back next day, and if you feel like if it's a little splotchy, just put a second coat on. Again, water it down. Use your stiff brush, brush it all in there. Same thing on the seat. As it starts to dry, sandbar is a little bit darker than what it went on as. So you can kind of see it starting to dry right in here. So it'll all be a little bit darker than it's showing right now. Okay? So we're gonna get rid of this guy. Let's see, let's move it out of the way. We're gonna let it dry. I'll finish this back later. You don't have to watch me paint that much upholstery. And so we've got one that we've already painted. This guy's already done. All right. So what we're gonna do to prep this for the next phase, this has already been painted front, back, top, all over, all in sandbar. So what we're gonna do next, because when you feel it now, it's completely dry, but it's very, very rough. It's like rougher than burlap. This is rough. So what we're gonna do is, let's get that closer down. We're gonna take our medium grit sanding block, and we're just gonna sand this. And nothing major. I mean, you're gonna feel this, and it's gonna feel smoother. Okay, so you're gonna sand your whole entire, and you'll feel it. This is rough, this is smooth. So you're just gonna go around the whole thing, and you're just gonna kind of go by feel. You're definitely not gonna break a sweat doing it. I'm just gonna lightly sand it, and I wanna get that welt. I don't wanna sand my frame, because I don't wanna repaint it. But if I do, it's all right. It's just paint, right? Okay. You can hear it, it's really rough. But now it's like super soft. I mean, not super duper soft, it's more like leather. This is like burlap, this is like leather. So you'll feel the difference. It's gonna be smoother. You know where you've been, and you know where you need to go on this. And that's just to smooth it out, get all those hard areas off. Okay. Make sure you guys can still see me. Some of the sanding is coming off, but that's all right. Okay. Get that all sanded, get our edges sanded. I like I said, you'll feel it, and you'll feel the difference between the two. Push that corner down, make sure I got that. And if you happen to sand off your finish off of your frame, it's not a big deal. Just go back and touch it up. Okay. Sand that corner down. We're just going to lightly sand that. And this is a great quick fix for especially dining chairs. I mean, you can literally be done within like a couple days and have your dining chair painted. Get that done. I'll wipe that off. Get that all done right there. Nice and smooth. Okay, I know I need to get this back end. So I did do a stencil today. I decided to, and once this was dry, completely dry, I wouldn't do it when it was wet. When it's completely dry, you can do a stencil. So I did stencil the back with buttercream and my favorite stencil, which is the Stella stencil from Prima. It is tricky because this is curved out, so you've got to just kind of hold it and do the best you can. There was really no taping that on the back of that. It's just not going to happen. So you just kind of hold it, prop up your chair the best you can. Okay, I'm going to get all my welt trim. Make sure it's not super stiff. You want it to have a little bit of flex. Okay. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and sand this just like I would the rest of this. Like I said, this was put on after this was completely dry. So you go ahead and stencil. If you're going to do stencil or you're going to do stripes or any kind of design, do it after your piece is dry. And you're using just such a small amount, it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to get goopy or anything. You're doing a super duper small amount, so you just want, you're not going to be slathering it on there, so you don't have to dilute it. Okay, get that all sanded. We just want to sand it till it's nice and smooth. Like I said, use your hand. You'll notice the difference between the unsanded parts and the sanded parts. You'll notice the difference. All right, so this is now part of the fabric. This was so much fun, y'all. But like I said, this is a harder part to do. So it would be easier if you had another person helping you with this, and also be able to put this on a very stable surface so it's not wobbling and moving around on you, and use gravity to help you with the stencil. So flip it over, have somebody help you, hold it down. And I use just a really fat stencil brush. I didn't use a sponge on that because I really needed it to kind of jab in and get into those little spots. So I used a brush for this. So I would, if you're doing that, use a brush. Don't do how I normally do stencils. All right, so we're gonna do this, our last bit here. We're gonna sand it, and this is a medium grit. It's about, I would say about a 120. About a 120 grit. And you're gonna feel it. So I can feel right here is where I haven't smoothed it out yet. You're not gonna break a sweat. And you can do this all indoors. All right, that feels great. Okay, sometimes you're gonna have little hairs. This, like I said, this is a cheapy little dining chair. All right, so that's all of it sanded. Okay, now we're gonna wanna dust it off a little bit. So let me get a little cloth. I'm gonna get it slightly damp. Nothing major. Okay. What do we got up there? Let's see. All right. Now I will tell you, I have done this and had a major fail because I had some really old vintage chairs and there was a little hair sticking out of the seat and I went to pull it and it kept coming out. And then all the stuffing came out. So it made a big hole. So I got mad, chunked it out the door because I was just like over it. So I'd say be careful, don't pull any strings out of your seat because it may make a bigger mess. All right, so I'm gonna keep going all the way around, just wiping that dusty stuff off. All right. Ta-da! All right, so now we're ready to seal her up. So I use the Easy Peasy Spray Wax. Why? Because it's super easy. Just shake it until you don't hear it shake anymore. And you're going to shake it as you use it. So I'm going to seal the whole enchilada. And we're going to start at the bottom because I want to be able to go back and do some glazing at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and try and decide if I really want to seal that bottom up. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, you're just going to spray it in small sections. And you can just work it in. And what this does is going to give it a nice, soft, much more of a leathery feel to the fabric. And it seals it. So when somebody gets something on the fabric, you can literally go back behind them and wipe it off like I did. So I took some Clorox wipes, which do not have Clorox in them, and wiped off the dirty mess that Mr. FedEx left for me on my freshly painted chair. So the Easy Peasy Spray Wax takes about 30 minutes to completely dry and 6 hours to cure. Okay, we're gonna get that all on there. Like I said, you keep shaking it as you go. And we are getting Easy Peasy Spray Wax in this week. We had a run on it some reason last week. I don't know if people knew we were doing this or what, but everybody came in for Easy Peasy Spray Wax. So I had to have a good laugh. All right. Okay, I'm gonna put that on that frame as well. Might as well, right? I like the little rosettes and all of the exposed kind of that spruce wood. Is going to be pretty cool when I put the glaze on it. Okay, and you just keep going on your upholstery. Finger gets tired. All right, so we're going to wipe that, work that in. Okay. Get all of that on there. And you could put a second coat as well of the Easy Peasy Spray Wax. It's up to you. I did one coat and was done. I'm kind of a, if I can do it in one and done, I will do it one and done. All right, so let me get this back end here. We don't want to leave anything undone. So if you haven't used the Easy Peasy Spray Wax, You should totally give it a try. Like I said, it's easy. I like using it for upholstery. It ensures that it's got a nice, making sure I got it all completely wet. All right. So now what we're going to do is our back here, and we're going to do the front of it as well. So, let's see. And you just kind of keep shaking and going as you go. I need like a little spray trigger for this guy, especially on these bigger projects like this. That would work awesome. I'm just going to spray the frame. All right, we're going to work that in. Make sure we got it all on there. Make sure we got it on this. Do our legs. Got to get underneath. We had to paint under this, so you got to get your wax underneath this. And this is easy peasy spray wax. That's all this is. You can use this for your wood furniture as well that you've painted. So instead of waxing with a traditional brush and a pot of wax, you can just easy peasy spray wax it and you're done. Like I said, it dries in 30 minutes. Make sure I got this all covered. Maybe a little bit over here. This helps with making this pretty much water resistant. And for me, in my experience, helped it make it stain resistant. Otherwise, there would be one less FedEx guy in the world. All right, let's see. Get this leg. We're gonna get the back here as well. Okay, we're gonna keep spraying and shaking and spraying. You can certainly use a traditional wax if you'd like. I don't want to work it that hard, so I'm just gonna easy peasy spray wax it on. So if I were doing a traditional wax, it would be a lot of working it into the fabric, and I don't want to do that. I've already worked my fabric or my paint into the fabric. I don't want to have to work hard again when you can do it easy peasy style. All right, so that's all nice covered with the easy peasy spray wax. So again, super duper easy peasy on that. Now let's get real quick. I'm gonna raise this guy up on some taller legs to make it a little bit easier for you and for me to see. We're gonna do a little bit of quick glazing. Okay. All right, so I use these little bed lifts. You can get them everywhere, probably Walmart, probably Target, probably Amazon. I use them for all kinds of furniture projects, just to lift it right off the floor so I'm not working on the floor anymore. All right, so we're gonna use, I'm gonna get back down there. It's just easier for me to be right there with my piece. All right, so we have cleaned it, we painted it, we let it dry, we sanded it, we waxed it. Now it's time to do some glazing on it. Now I think you're gonna find these little rosettes are really fun, so we're gonna just put a little bit of glaze in there and try not to get it on my upholstery. So if you're worried about getting it on your upholstery, you might want to tape it off. So This may not stick because my upholstery is still a little bit wet from the wax. We're just gonna do this one quick leg here. Yeah, still a little wet from the wax. We're just gonna try to do that little section right there and this leg. That way you guys can see the difference. All right, so this is Van Dyke Brown. It is Paint Couture's Van Dyke Brown. It has a much longer dry time, so that's why I like working with it. It doesn't dry on me too fast, so I will not ruin my pieces. Some other are dry too fast and I don't have a lot of work time and I end up ruining my piece. All right, well, then I have to start over and paint it, so you really don't ruin it. All right, so we're gonna just jam this in there. Okay, I'm gonna jam it on this side. Get it all in there. And I'm gonna do the entire frame. I'm gonna show you guys pretty much this part, and then we'll finish this up off camera. I gotta finish them because they're my breakfast chairs, and I'd like to put them back in my breakfast room because my breakfast room looks a little naked right now. And of course, now that the chairs have gotten a makeover, the table and the bench will have to have a makeover as well. So they will be getting painted one day. Okay, I'm trying to get it in all those. There's a lot of little etched details on these legs. I'm trying to get it all in there. Get in there. All right, so I've got my frame covered. And now I'm going to take my clean rag and I'm going to start wiping it back. Okay. And this part gets a little bit messy. And remember I told you the wood was a bit cerused, so you'll start seeing that right in here. I don't know if you guys can see it that far. We'll definitely take some close-ups for you. So for me, this is the easiest way I can completely change my legs, my frame, without a whole lot of effort. To me, it's easy. You can do this with wax. So whatever floats your boat. I like glazing. I feel like it's a faster process than waxing. Waxing to me just takes a lot of time, a lot of elbow grease, and I tend to make things look really, really messy with wax. So for me, I do a little bit better with a glaze. Okay, I want to make sure I have all these parts done. Okay. See how much fun that is? You can see the rosettes on that, and they've got the detail here. So you've got a really cool, I'm gonna get just this little bit off. I don't want it sitting there. So you've got nice contrast on the frame. So I'm gonna do this all the way around, all the way down on all the frame. So I'll probably wait till it dries a little bit more so that makes it easier, because I know that it's going to be a little bit easier if I go ahead and tape off my upholstery that I went ahead and I've already painted, I've sanded, and I've waxed. So I don't want to ruin the work I've already done. So I'm going to tape those little edges off so I can make sure I don't get any of the Van Dyke Brown glaze all over my piece. I just want it on the frame. The same thing here. You're just going to tape off those little edges and just do the glazing all around. You certainly don't have to. You can actually leave your frame if you wanted to. You could have left it as it was totally fine. Just paint your upholstery. So whatever floats your boat, that's the best way I can tell you can do it. You don't have to, there's no right way, wrong way. Especially with painting, the wrong way to do it is never paint at all. So I always tell you paint it. because if you ruin it, you can just paint over it. Not a big deal. So in a nutshell, 2 days you can have totally new pieces of furniture, and it's only a couple of cans of paint and some easy peasy spray wax and glaze if you get so inclined to do that. So literally you can have a transformation for maybe the cost. Like let's say you had 8 dining chairs, you could probably do the entire transformation for what it would cost maybe reupholstering 1. So save some money, extend that fabric a little bit longer. As long as your fabric's in good condition, you can go ahead and paint right over it. So thank you guys for tuning in, and if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the box. Our website, 50 free ship is the coupon code. Any paint, wood you bend, Prima, brushes, all of the paint related items, $50 or more, you get free shipping. Make sure you use that 50 free ship code. And that's it. You guys, happy painting.